The Brown Mountain Lights. Chapter 1: The Legend of Brown Mountain. The small town of Morganton, North Carolina, had always been shrouded in whispers of the unexplained. Tucked away in the Blue Ridge Mountains, the town's most famous mystery was the Brown Mountain Lights, strange, ghostly orbs of light that had been seen floating above the ridge for over a century. Some claimed they were the spirits of long-lost Cherokee warriors. Others said they were the lanterns of lost travelers trying to find their way home. But no one had ever truly discovered the truth behind the lights, and for the most part, the townspeople had learned to live alongside the mystery. Ellie Carter had grown up hearing the stories from her grandmother. "The lights appear when the veil between worlds is thin," her grandmother would say. "But you must never follow them, Ellie. Those who do never come back." Now 23, Ellie had long outgrown her fear of the lights, or so she liked to tell herself. After her grandmother's passing, Ellie had returned to Morganton to handle the estate and, truth be told, figure out her next step in life. She had been drifting ever since she dropped out of college, aimless, uncertain, and haunted by the feeling that something was missing. It was a cool September evening when Ellie first saw the lights with her own eyes. She had been hiking the Brown Mountain Trail at dusk when a faint, shimmering glow appeared through the trees. Pale blue orbs hovered in the air, bobbing and weaving as if they were alive. Mesmerized, Ellie took a step toward them, and that's when she heard the voice. "Ellie." She froze. The voice was soft, familiar, and laced with an eerie distortion, as though it was coming from underwater. "Ellie." Her heart raced. "Who's there?" she called out. The lights pulsed brighter, and for a moment Ellie swore she saw a figure standing just beyond the tree line, tall, shadowed, with eyes that shimmered the same ghostly blue as the lights. But before she could move, the lights winked out, and the figure was gone. Chapter 2: Whispers in the Dark. Ellie woke the next morning with the memory of the lights burned into her mind. She couldn't shake the feeling that whoever, or whatever, had called her name was still out there. Determined to find answers, she drove into town to visit the local historian, Mr. Walker. "Ah, the Brown Mountain Lights," Mr. Walker said, settling into his worn leather chair. "Plenty of stories about them, some more credible than others. The Cherokee believed they were the spirits of warriors who died in battle, forever wandering the mountains. In the 1900s, people thought they were reflections of train lights or moonlight on quartz deposits." He leaned closer. "But there's one story that's always unsettled me. Back in 1912, a girl named Lillian Hayes went missing near Brown Mountain after seeing the lights. A search party went out looking for her, and only one man returned." Ellie's pulse quickened. "What happened?" "The man claimed they followed the lights into a cave deep in the mountain. He said the lights turned into people. Pale-skinned figures with glowing eyes. They surrounded them and—" Mr. Walker trailed off, eyes dark. "He was the only one to make it out alive. Lillian was never seen again." Ellie shivered. "What happened to the man?" "Lost his mind," Mr. Walker said. "Died in the asylum a year later." Despite the chill that crept down her spine, Ellie knew what she had to do. That night, she would go back to Brown Mountain. She had to see the lights again. Chapter 3: Into the Mountain. Night fell quickly over the mountains. Ellie hiked toward the ridge, flashlight in hand. The moon was hidden behind heavy clouds, casting the forest into shadow. And then, the lights appeared. Soft blue glows pulsed through the trees, leading her deeper into the forest. Her grandmother's voice echoed in her mind, "You must never follow them." But Ellie pressed forward. The lights grew brighter, gathering in a circle near the mouth of a narrow cave hidden beneath a tangle of roots. She hesitated, and then the voice returned. "Ellie." Her breath hitched. It was her grandmother's voice. Without thinking, Ellie stepped into the cave. The walls pulsed with a soft, bioluminescent glow. As she ventured deeper, the air grew colder, and the passage narrowed. Suddenly, the cave opened into a massive underground chamber. Floating orbs of light hovered in the air, dozens of them. And standing beneath them were figures cloaked in pale white light. One figure stepped forward. A tall woman with silver hair and glowing eyes. "Ellie Carter," the woman said. Her voice was smooth, ageless. "We've been waiting for you." Who are you?" Ellie whispered. "We are the keepers of the veil," the woman said. "The lights are not just a legend. They are the threshold between this world and the next." Ellie's heart pounded. "Why me?" "You are a descendant of the first keeper, the one who opened the veil centuries ago. The bloodline of the keepers runs through you." Ellie shook her head. "I don't understand. You have the power to protect the veil or to tear it open." A ripple of cold passed through the chamber. The other figures stirred, and suddenly the lights began to pulse faster. "Ellie." A figure emerged from the shadows, her grandmother. But her face was twisted in pain. "Don't trust them." The keeper's eyes darkened. "She does not belong here anymore." Ellie backed away as the lights flared blindingly bright. What are you?" The keeper's mouth curled into a sharp smile. "The true guardians of this world." Chapter 4: The Choice. The cave shook violently. The orbs of light flickered, casting jagged shadows along the walls. Ellie, her grandmother, screamed. "They will use you to open the veil forever." "Don't listen to her," the keeper said smoothly. "Embrace your power." Ellie's mind spun. What happens if the veil opens? The keeper smiled. "Balance will be restored. The living and the dead will exist as one." Ellie's breath hitched. She could feel the power in her veins, ancient and burning. If she accepted the keeper's offer, she could finally find the answers she had always searched for. But at what cost? Her grandmother's face twisted in agony. "Ellie, please." With a cry, Ellie thrust her hands forward. Light exploded from her fingertips, washing over the keeper and the chamber. The figures screamed as the light dissolved them. The cave trembled and began to collapse. Ellie ran toward her grandmother and reached for her hand, but her grandmother's form was already fading. "You did well," her grandmother whispered. "Remember who you are." And then Ellie was alone. Chapter 5: The Legacy. Ellie awoke at the edge of Brown Mountain as the first light of dawn crept over the horizon. The lights were gone. Weeks passed, and the town of Morganton returned to normal. But Ellie knew the truth. She had sealed the veil, but the keepers were not gone forever. One night, Ellie stood on the ridge beneath a starlit sky. A single blue light hovered in the distance, not threatening, but watchful. Ellie smiled faintly. "I'll be ready next time." As the light faded, Ellie whispered into the night, "Thank you, Grandma." And somewhere in the darkness, a soft voice replied, "I'm proud of you. At Kanchaknapong R6F, this one's for you." Smiling face with sunglasses.